Beyond the Veil. An obsession with the unseen, Hamza had always been fascinated by the unknown. As a child, he would fall asleep listening to ghost stories, and as he grew older, he became restless to uncover the truth behind them. His friends often warned him that some things were better left alone, but he always laughed it off. One night, while sitting with his friends, he boldly declared, "These are just myths. If supernatural beings really exist, I want them to contact me." A strange unease spread among his friends. Atif, who firmly believed in the unseen, spoke in a tense voice. "Hamza, don't say such things. What you cannot see is not necessarily harmless." But Hamza laughed. "If they are real, then let them come. I am not afraid." That was the moment he unknowingly opened a door one that could never be closed again. The first signs. The next night, as he lay in his room, everything seemed normal. But then, suddenly, the curtains began to sway. It could have been a minor thing, but there was no wind. Then, in an instant, the light bulb flickered and went out, plunging the room into complete darkness. In the silence, a whisper emerged that seemed to echo directly inside his head. "You called for us, and we have come." A chill ran down Hamza's spine. He quickly turned on his phone's flashlight, but there was no one there. Maybe it was just his imagination? But the following night, as he was about to sleep, he heard his name being called. He jolted awake. Shadows flickered along the walls as if someone was moving in the dark, but there was no source of light. A dream or reality? On the third night, Hamza had a terrifying dream. He found himself standing in a desolate wasteland. Before him loomed an ancient, decaying mansion, its doors creaking open on their own. As he stepped inside, his footsteps echoed unnaturally. The air was heavy, thick, with a sickening, putrid stench. Then, a trembling whisper cut through the silence. "You wish to accept us? Come, let us show you our world." A tall, shadowy figure emerged before him, its eyes burning like smoldering embers. Hamza tried to scream, but no sound escaped his lips. He woke up with a gasp only to realize that the presence from his dream was still lingering in his room. A horrifying reality. Hamza's life was no longer the same. He began seeing faint figures behind him in mirrors. Sometimes muddy footprints would appear on his floor, footprints that did not belong to him. His food smelled rotten, and his water tasted as if ashes had been mixed into it. One day, his mother touched his hand and recoiled in shock. "Son, why are your hands so cold?" Yet, Hamza was sweating from unbearable heat. That night, as he lay down, his body became paralyzed. He tried to move but couldn't. His eyes refused to open, and a crushing weight pressed down on his chest. A whisper crept closer. "Now you are ours. You cannot escape." Suddenly, the door burst open. His mother stood there clutching a Quran. As she began reciting Ayatul Kursi, Hamza was thrown off the bed with a violent jolt. And then, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the room, but it wasn't his. The door that never closes. Hamza was taken to a wise scholar. The moment the elder looked into his eyes, he exhaled deeply. "Son, you have opened a door that cannot be closed. They will never leave you now." "But why?" "I was just joking," Hamza cried. "That was your mistake. The unseen is not a game. Now, your life is under their gaze." Hamza's condition worsened. He would sit alone, laughing to himself, whispering as if speaking to someone unseen. At times, his reflection in the mirror did not move in sync with him. Then one night, he disappeared. People searched everywhere, but he was nowhere to be found. 3 days later, they discovered him unconscious in an abandoned ruin outside the village. But he was no longer the Hamza they once knew. His once bright eyes were now empty, hollow like a soul that had lost its way. The lesson? Some truths are better left unknown. Mocking or challenging supernatural beings is an invitation to disaster. Some doors once opened can never be shut. Some entities once welcomed never leave. Never look beyond the veil, because something might already be watching you.